Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Drink While You Think. I'm your host, Kenji.
I'm Matthew. And hopefully, Kenji's recording this one. You got this? You got this, man? Are you sure?
We had some technical issues. We actually had a full episode in the can last week. You'll notice a gap. That was me with some technical issues. Somehow deleted it. Yeah, before I uploaded it. I had this beautiful, I had done this whole thing out in front of our fire. I did a fire pit kind of whole thing. And in me getting crazy with the little outdoor cool ambiance, I had some power issues that caused us to cause some problems. So,
yes, they did.
But then we were going to recover this week and even do okay, we'll make up for it by doing a really cool one, with a cool thing. And we weren't able to do that because I got exposed to someone with COVID. And fortunately, I took a test, and fortunately, I'm all clear and good, but I'm being a little cautious. I got the results actually this morning. Negative. But being extra safe, we're planning on doing something fun, kind of me and Matthew together, distanced, but maybe next weekend. So here we are, back sitting in our houses again, drinking beer or something. So Matthew, at least let's get to that. What are you drinking this week?
Okay. I'm off the wagon. I'm off the dry wagon. So
make it through dryuary.
I'm gonna share this hack with you for anybody who likes wine. Okay. This company, Denegocier or whatever. So this is a winemaker that finds grapes from all the excess grapes from other vineyards and puts out cost-effective wines. So this is really good if you have found a region, say you like Napa Cabs or you like the Willamette Valley Pinots. You just wait until one of those comes up and then you grab it. So this is a Willamette Valley Pinot. Oh, I can do the right way. So it's a Willamette Valley Pinot. This is the 2018. So normally a good Willamette Valley Pinot, runs you decent money. This is a $10 bottle of wine. So if you can subscribe, it's kind of a fun break in the day. They send you about one every 3 days that they bottle. And you pick it and you buy it and 12 bottles show up on your front porch. So
$10 a bottle though, huh?
Well, the Napa Cab that I got was a $20 bottle. I like a Merlot, so I have 12 Merlots coming. They were a $12 bottle of Merlot, and but the Chardonnays, there was an $8 bottle Chardonnay up to a $12 bottle Chardonnay. So it just depends. I mean, it'll tell you kind of the retail price that vineyard sells it for, and then it'll tell you. We'll stop short of telling you the vineyard, but it'll tell you some information. So if you it's great if you like a region. You know what I mean?
They can guarantee it's from a certain region. They just can't tell you exactly whose grapes they are.
It won't tell you.
Or they mix them.
Well, if you're really dorky, if you could geek out, you could probably tell which vineyard it is by their descriptions. But I'm not that good at wines. I just kind of know the Napa Cabs are nice, so it's nice to have Napa Cabs. The Willamette Valley has great Pinots. You do those so. I just wait for the regions for the ones you want. So
give us a little taste. Yeah, how is that? I guess you've already had some of that.
We're on bottle 7 right now, so it's COVID, man.
Okay, he's going wine. We'll have to maybe go in Vivino or something like this and rate it.
You can do a rating on that. That's what I use Vivino for my cellar, my wine cellar, my all 20 bottles.
I used it for a while, then I got tired of updating it because we were going through it too quick. So, all right, I've got, check this out. It's the XPA Citra Pale Ale from Flying Fish Brewing. I had mentioned in our last week's episode that's in the trash somewhere. These are bottles of beer that my in-laws got me on a beer subscription deal, which is kind of cool. So nice. This is a Flying Fish Brewery, I believe is New Jersey, an old school. So these are all kind of craft beers. So we'll see how this is. I'm assuming this is some form of they call it XPA, of an IPA using the Citra hops based on the name of it. But, doesn't look too bad. Oh yeah, that's actually got a really nice citric
It's
kind of
not,
nose to it, which is I like that.
it's not as good as my Pinot, but we'll let you go with it.
Oh, I
So
kind of like that. I have not been drinking much IPA. It's not really IPA time right now, but maybe it's because I haven't had one in a while. It's good. That's really tasty.
cool. What do you got for us, man?
Um, again, was going to focus more on firm stuff. I think about the things that probably, if anyone's watching this, it's probably other accountants asking what ridiculous things you and I are doing. Wanted to ask you, so how you had kind of an interesting week. You got to be part of a thing called FRG with a group called PASBA. So can
Yep.
you, in kind of reverse order, tell everyone what PASBA is and then what FRG is? And
Yeah, I mean, PAS was a great organization that we kind of stumbled over. I know you did their keynote one year, but that's when we kind of figured out what they were doing. But it's a great group of really progressive business model kind of firm owners. They're in different ranges on kind of
I
technology
think
adoption
is it like professional? No, what was it? The professional accounting
for small businesses
for
or
small businesses. Yeah, I think that's
something
right.
like that. But they're all
There's an
focused on recurring,
association. Yeah.
all focused on recurring revenue. Some go past the monthly billing all the way to doing weekly billing. So they do a direct draw weekly versus or monthly. So they have really predictable revenue
There they
from
are.
it. Yeah,
So
great group.
PASBA,
And so
Professional
what
Association of Small Business Accountants. There we go.
really aligned with us because really transparent to the point where the small group that I joined has Van who owns County who merged with us with Counting House has been in for several years. But I was with it's a group. I think the small groups or the FRG is the name for the small group, and it's about 10 other firm owners, and they're completely transparent. They show what their revenue is. They show what their how they're compensating their staff. They kind of bang each other best practices. It reminds me a lot of EO, which is one thing you and I both do, Entrepreneurs Organization, in our small groups where there's lots and lots of transparency and you really get deep on stuff, but it's like a deep dive. So we met for about 6 hours a day, every day this week.
Whoa!
So we did
Wow.
so because you do about a two and a half hour, 2 hour deep dive on your own business, and you give feedback, and then I didn't join the mornings. I was because you can also do what they call, I think it's PRG, which is a personal review group, like where you can go over your personal financial goals and you're transparent with that. You get an hour for that, 2 hours for doing the business, kind of doing your business review, and then you get feedback on both personal goals and financial goals. And as many firm owners know out there, it gets lonely sometimes as a firm owner. So this is a lot of folks that are single, like aren't as lucky as us that have a partner that can kind of keep them crazy. And we have a third, we have Lisa who can, that we can bounce ideas off of too. So we're real lucky. But they use that group to bounce ideas off each other, to think about best practices, to push them to the next level, that kind of stuff. It was great.
So what would you say? I mean, it is unusual. You and I are kind of drawn toward models like that. You mentioned the Entrepreneurs Organization. I think we're kind of been involved in some, probably less formal small groups kind of within the profession to some extent, but I don't know that that's a widely spread model. Do you, if someone were to tell you like, well, yeah, I don't really have a co-founder or someone to really talk to about, but like, aren't I sharing, like, that's a lot to really share. Confidential information I'm sharing with someone who could be a competitor. Like, how would you respond to someone who's maybe a little bit nervous about that?
Oh, I mean, we got like 150,000 competitors or something. 100,000, I think is the number I saw in the study that I rely on, that I trust in the cloud services group. What I would say is, if you haven't hit them twice already in head-to-head competition, they're not competition. So I can't name. I mean, I think we have 3 firms that we've gone head to head with more than 3 times this year, and we net added 100 and something clients. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty unusual to.
who's our competition even? I mean, I don't even know. That's at this point, we're like, there's so many. I think 50% of small businesses still try to do the bookkeeping themselves. So there's 5.7 million in the study I saw that, like, we're competing for those, I guess, but we're not trying to take each other's stuff.
Yeah. I think it's been whether it's PASBA, we've seen this. I'm kind of involved with the accounting salon group, a few other groups, even Zero, is kind of doing 0 hours, which was really kind of fun when we were still face to face. I was hosting the Atlanta version of 0 hours, and the goal was just to put firm owners together to kind of talk. Like, it's a little odd at first, I think, for people, because they're like, I don't really know you that well, and I'm going to share all this information. But once you do, like, it kind of the floodgates kind of open up, and next thing you know, you're getting all kinds of really good ideas. Or I don't know. For me, it always takes you out of the day to day. So much, like, we're so focused on the day to day.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Ryan Lazanis. I mean, he just launched Future Firm Accelerate. So he's going to do this. And I believe there's a small group component to that, which I think he's going to find is really, really a sticky part of that program that he's launching. If he puts firm owners, other firm owners in that. So I thought that was cool. I think he's kind of also, to me, in that like-minded group with us, is like, he gets it and kind of shares a lot of the same values as us. So I think that's one to watch if people are interested in groups with that. I know that's new. I mean, it's like this week new, I think.
I think that's pretty new. And I know others have been doing it. I know Madeline Reeves has had a good one. Hers, I'm going to apologize. I think hers used to be Fearless in Training. I think it's Fearless Foundry now. I think that's right. Apologies to Madeline if I got it wrong, but she's doing kind of more of a small group facilitated like that too. I guess bottom line is, you and I would encourage firm owners, to definitely be getting involved. I mean, it's a great way to get involved in the profession, and I think it's a great way to work on the business. Like, it is a good way to, we always talk about not working too much in the business. Like, it's a good way to work on the business when you've got other firm owners there.
Yeah, even when you're not with other firm owners, I mean, even in our EO group, to me, that's when I work on the business. It's like an accountability once a month where I'm reporting out on achievements and stuff that's happened that's good, bad, and indifferent,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of time. That's one. I mean, I know that for EO, for us, we do half a day a month. I guess they're kind of consolidated. At least the PASBA group has done all theirs, a full kind of everything in all 1 week. And I know they do some like twice a year kind of retreat.
They do twice a year. I think it would be. I mean, I think because it's in person and it's over a conference and stuff like that, I think it's probably beneficial. Like, if you can imagine, like, for you and me, like, if we did this at ZeroCon and we just broke out and we just went with 10 firm owners that were like-minded and spent the whole ZeroCon there, like, once a year would be pretty powerful, even if it's like 3 days a week, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. You say, hey, I'm going to go for the full week. You can see, if I'm going to go for a full week and be in a group of 10 people and you got a couple different firms, like, right, Nick with Bookkeeper 360 would be like, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours going through kind of what we do, right?
Yeah.
And then, after that, you get Liz Mason, like, running through her thing. Like, you'd be like, oh man, you'd spend a bunch of hours going through that and getting feedback and just learning. That would be pretty cool. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably pull some good folks in, We're blackballing Michael Lee, just calling that out right now.
Michael's not involved now.
Completely blackballed. So, but I mean, you'd even, like, you could pull in somebody like, we could pull in, Pilot. We could pull in somebody like that even trying to build some technology, and see if one of those guys want to do it. And we could,
it would be fascinating.
We've known those guys for a long time. So, I mean, like, it would be fascinating to do with the subset, once a year, like PASBA does at some of the conferences that we go to. But
do they put any kind of confidentiality kind of component to it? Or how do they internally as a group?
They didn't. They're not as explicit as EO, but I think it's as confidential as EO.
Yeah.
I don't know that we signed. I was trying to wonder, like, did we sign something at EO? I couldn't remember. I don't remember signing anything, but I
Yeah,
know
when you become a member, yeah, you do sign as a new member, and you agree to confidentiality, and that's we had a whole in each of our small groups we have a constitution, bylaws essentially, so it's pretty strict. But
yeah, I have that too. I just couldn't remember like if I signed something, like went so far as to sign it. Like I
yeah,
definitely we're not signing NDAs with each other and stuff like
now
that.
we do sign our small group in EO does sign our constitution. Like we have to sign off on it every year.
Okay.
Anyway, interesting. Okay, so also kind of around firm stuff. We had our quarterly meeting this week at Acuity. That was yesterday, actually. And so it had gotten me thinking about, actually, I've been thinking prior to this, but as we were preparing for our quarterly company meeting, and not to get all into it here, but like it got every beginning of the year, I always start thinking about like how we communicate as a firm. And it changes every year. You and I talk about this probably this time every year about like, okay, what do we want to change up? And like, a lot of it's around meeting schedules and are we adding more? Are we taking them away? And so it's interesting. I hadn't told you about this, but like I was actually trying to look at it myself just a couple of weeks ago. I'll share this quickly. We're not going to go into it in depth, but I was like, this is not exactly the Acuity communication cadence. This is kind of more mine, right? And so I was just kind of thinking through like kind of the rhythm and cadence of things, right? And things I was trying to alter. And a couple of things kind of jumped out as we went into this year, like, we don't do any daily meetings. At least I don't think so. I don't think any team members are doing that. Like, you think about people who do stand-ups and things like this. And I was just trying to make sure as I was looking at like, okay, what are these are meetings I'm involved with. Like, am I getting the right kind of cadence? And so I was like, okay, it's interesting. There's nothing daily. Like I would die having to do like a daily meeting. That would just seem, I mean, not that I don't talk to each other each day, but like having a set one, like that just seems too much. Weekly is about all I can manage. And then it also kind of occurred to me in kind of looking through all this, like, other things that are starting to change, like more of these are becoming kind of asynchronous as we go, like, having people at the same time, like, let's all stop what we're doing and come together to do this thing. Like we're starting to do less of that.
Yeah.
It's and we can come back to this if we want to, but it just kind of got me a little bit like thinking about, I wonder how other firms are kind of going through that. Like a lot of I looked at our meetings, the majority of our meetings we have at Acuity are voluntary. Like we're not like, I mean, if someone weren't to show, you'd be like, hey, kind of what's up? But otherwise they're kind of voluntary. It's a little bit more of you don't want to miss out. Like you kind of want to know what's going on. So high percentage of ours are voluntary, more becoming asynchronous, nothing kind of daily. I'm wondering if more and more firms are going that direction. So I guess maybe one of my questions for you would be, do you have a favorite kind of either meeting or communication style, or or if you can't think of one, you might not be able to because you're known as not a big into meetings, or do you have something like, oh, you just despise and hate?
Meeting style. So for one of the things that I've been doing, particularly in the meetings that I'm facilitating. So I'm moderator for my forum and I'm president of ATA. For this is usually outside the company, but anytime I get into a meeting that has more than really 4 people in it, like I've been putting timestamps on where I want the goal to be. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is the topic and this amount, how much time I'm budgeting for the topic. Like EO, it's a bunch easier. Like
so from an agenda, from an agenda standpoint, right? Okay, I got you.
So from an agenda perspective, I'm spending time in allocating that, and I'm relatively intentional about getting everybody's feedback in the meeting if they're there. Where I go around and make sure everybody, you do a good job of this as well, is kind of facilitating. And if I'm going to have somebody in the meeting, I'm going to ask them all a question at some point, and then, or else why are they at the meeting, right? We could record it and send it to them if they're just a viewer. So I think I've been, I don't know if this answers your question, but really thinking about the time usage and the amount of time, because there's those like time vampires in meetings that'll just talk for the sake of talking. I'm doing better about shutting them down and kind of just moving us along and stuff like that, and kind of moving it out if it's not productive.
That is, I will say that is one of the top things I've gotten out of Entrepreneurs Organization is the way that meetings are run to the minutes, actually to the seconds. Like we run them with a clock. And at first you're like, this is weird, but it gives you a strong appreciation for the value of time and being on time and giving everybody equal amount to kind of talk and not making sure you have those time vampires. What's interesting though, in our firm, I'll share is, so we had just had our quarterly meeting yesterday, and I think you and I talked afterwards, like, oh, that was a good meeting. We felt pretty good about what was presented and the material. And I don't think we did such a good job that we answered everybody's questions, but like we had very few questions. We had like 2 questions. And so I wonder if other firms go through that too, where you're like, oh man, I don't get enough people talking. I can see like at ATA. So when Matthew mentioned ATA, that's the Atlanta Technology Angels, he's president of. So these are angel investors group who they're going to have opinions about things, right? So you can see that they're more there. I find it the opposite at our firm, to where it's hard to get people talking. And like, to me, that's what I hate meetings where you can't get people engaged. It's a bad habit where I do, and we probably both do this. Like we start filling up space. Like no one else is going to talk. They're all looking at us. Okay, well, I'll just go. Like I just hate those meetings. Like, right?
That's when you like, I think that's where the agenda planning helps. And I mean, there's a place where like the quarterly meetings, I think we have to be like that. And I think we're going to get fewer and fewer questions as we get bigger and bigger. I mean, it's just hard to ask a question in front of 100 people. It just is. I mean, we had 88 people on that call.
Yeah.
Like people are, I mean, that's what kind of the one-on-ones you're doing with everybody is kind of more of, like reaching out to people and getting plus everybody has Slack and can ping us whenever they want on questions.
Yeah.
But we had 3 questions that came up. It was great. It was people that we know that aren't afraid to ask questions traditionally, like, and that we really respect too. I mean, like I guess we respect everybody too, though, but hopefully everybody feels uncomfortable at some point. But I think to your point, I think there's a place for that in the big meetings where you just have to grin and bear it. And we just have to be respectful and really thoughtful about what we put in the content. Yeah. But I think in the regular, more routine meetings, like that's a quarterly meeting, I think that's a fair thing for that. Yeah. If you go to monthly meeting, as soon as you're at monthly, like, man, everybody better be in there for a reason. That's just too many people, too much information,
Yeah, they better be in there for a reason. And also that reason better be, we need their thoughts and their participation, right? If it's just a way to get them in, there's too many forms to get information right now, whether it's Slack, asynchronous video. If you need to just get like, oh, I need to find out about this new initiative or something, like that can be done. Let people fit that into their own schedule, right? They don't need to have a meeting about it.
Now, one of the caveats here is like community building is a good reason to have live meetings. Yep. So what I mean by that is, especially with remote workforces, like we do have weekly team meetings.
Yep.
That those team meetings are intentionally built around, number one, community building is number one priority. Second is information dissemination.
Yeah.
So while we do disseminate information, it's more important that people start building community. So especially if you have a remote workforce, I don't want people to misunderstand. Like that's a really important thing. I love the check-in as a strategy for that, like some fun check-in. I was in charge of the check-in question for Entrepreneurs Organization this last round. And the check-in was, what is the significance of your name or the name of one of your kids? Like, tell us the story behind it. It was a great check-in question. And when you have a lot of information, you do one-word check-ins, like what's one word to describe how you feel today, or one word to describe how 2020 went, and it can be fun and people be silly, and those have a place too. But if you have a lighter load, you can do a deeper thing.
Yeah.
tell us about where you went to college. Tell us about the hometown you grew up in. Tell us about your favorite, if you want to be shorter, you can say favorite beer, alcohol, like drink, like, but I mean, I think I think people undervalue that and underappreciate that. And they don't notice when good facilitators do that. And they think it's kind of hokey. But if you live with a professional educator like I do, you start to really appreciate and understand community building, and it's the little things you can do with 5 minutes at the start of a meeting to build that up.
I think those are huge. I think that the problem I fall into is if you end up with so many meetings on your in your schedule, you don't get the time to actually do the planning beforehand, right? If you planned and are intentional about it, like, okay, I'm going to put, a good opening question that just kind of gets everybody talking and comfortable. I'm going to get the agenda pretty tight with timeframes, right? I mean, if you had all that time to do it, and sometimes you do, and we just don't make the time really, it does have a significant impact on the meeting itself, right? It has a huge impact on how it goes, how it flows, the engagement of others there. So yeah, it's interesting. I think it's that to me, as we grow bigger, and I think all firms probably think about this, like how do we communicate? What's the communication for, right? It is for information dissemination. It is for community building. It's for having fun. It's for, fostering the culture. It's for dealing with critical client issues. There's so many ways to really communicate, and knowing exactly how to, like, what the appropriate means to do that is tough. It's really tricky. I don't think it's something that I probably should look at it more than just the beginning of each year, as I kind of look at, and I go, hey, what meetings am I most tired of? I'm never tired of the people. It's like, oh, I feel bad. So I'm like, I think we're wasting time here. I'm wasting that person's time because we're not making enough progress on something, right? So I think about, I'm usually going, what meetings I eliminate, and not as much about, hey, what would be some really impactful or important ways to communicate. So I don't know. This time of year is interesting. I was happy with the way our meeting went the other day. So I think we got a lot of information out, but that would be a great one if you were in a peer group with other firms. Like, oh, how do you guys do communications, right? I mean, how do you do training? How do you do when a client issue comes up? I was actually talking yesterday with a friend of mine, Brian Clare, and we were talking back and forth. And Brian's got a great firm up in Canada, back and forth on like how we do like quality assurance, like, and when an client issue pops up, like how do you go through resolving it? So he was just like, hey man, I'm gonna hit you up on Slack, and another group we're in, like, do you have time to talk? I got that, and I'm like, of course I got time to talk. Let's talk right now. Like, right, that's the stuff that's like really interesting. Like, oh, how are you doing it? He had all these cool ideas that he and his partner had thought of, and I had a bunch of mistakes that you and I have made to share with him. So
we got lots of good mistakes. That was my one. That was my one thing that I did tell the FRG group this week. We've screwed up a lot of things in sales, in marketing, in tax, and lots of things.
So many things. In fact, I was very intentional with our agenda even yesterday with the team. Like, there were a couple things on there explicitly to show that you and I, we all make mistakes, and that's okay. Like, right, we don't want to get paralyzed, and like, we just go into version 2.0 or 3.0, and at some point, if it's still not working, you got to say no. But like, you refine, you get better. You can't be scared. You can't be scared to try something. That's the thing that really hit me. I don't know if I talked about this yesterday in our team meeting. I don't think I did, but like, that's where I think accounting firms die, is when they just get afraid to try something new and take chances. That's what I get most afraid of for us. Luckily, you and I, and our competitive nature and our weird kind of ways we think, like, hopefully we'll keep that at bay. But like, that is my biggest fear, is that we get complacent. Like, no, this is the way we do it. And we just don't, but so I was very particular in putting a couple of failures in our presentation yesterday. I'm like, yeah, this didn't work out so well. So anyway, All right, let's move off. Last thing, let's move off the accounting stuff. We were heavy on the firm stuff, but again, I'm hoping that firm owners will take the time to watch this, like, oh, that's interesting, or get some thought process going. Now let's go selfish, you and me.
Okay.
Big news on the Falcons front. We had
Yeah.
some new hires, a new head coach, Mr. Arthur Smith, and a new general manager, Tony Fontenot. I think that's how you pronounce it. Thoughts?
I'm holding out because I haven't heard who the OC and DC are. Are those been announced yet? I'm really bullish on the Saints guy coming over. I can't believe we hired someone.
I can't believe you just said that.
So I'm really excited about him crossing over because he now has all that information, 15 years of history at the Saints. So I think we'll be able to game plan against the Saints now. And now he's on our side. I kind of like that. I do not like I do like the rule that they get compensatory draft picks because, but I don't like that it goes to the Saints because, I like the GM hire. I'm cautiously optimistic about the Titans guy. Arthur. I think that's interesting. They brought in a run heavy OC like to run our offense when we don't have a running back and we have 2 first-round wide receivers, 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, and a Pro Bowl quarterback. So that'll be interesting to see how he uses those tools. I'm really interested to see if they make any roster moves. We just got so many salary cap problems, but
yeah, we got a bunch of team stuff going on there.
I'm fascinated to see who's going to be the offensive coordinator. I know Cutter's fired. I saw that news, but I haven't seen that. Well, we're obviously going to need a new defensive strategy. So hopefully we're able to get a DC from another program that has a great strategy that likes speed, because we don't have strength over here. We got speed. We need somebody that can use the pieces we got, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting seeing our former coaches head into other places. But I think overall, I just get excited whenever there's change, like just something new. Like it's been a rough year. Like it's been a rough year, few years. So it's been just seeing some change. Like, all right, we're taking a chance. So both are relatively young coach, young GM. I kind of like that. I don't know. I've always liked giving people chances to kind of, take a shot. The weird thing we talked about with Arthur Smith is the fact that we were looking him up and we saw that he's the son of the founder of FedEx, like the CEO, chairman, founder. Isn't that crazy? That's just a weird.
Did you vet that out? Have you checked that?
100%.
Oh wow, that's just random.
That's strange, isn't it? Like the guy's a head coach, and so it's interesting to where he clearly knows how to, I guess, deal with billionaires because his father is a billionaire. So, the fact that he can deal with Arthur Blank, who's a billionaire, I don't know.
That'll be interesting.
It does seem like he was targeted. Like they were pretty specific on going after him.
Yeah, I mean,
something there.
I think the trendy pick was the Kansas City offensive coordinator.
Eric Bieniemy, yeah.
Yeah, Bieniemy, I think, is going to be, if somebody doesn't hire that guy, something's wrong with the system.
I was thinking about that. He is a fantastic. I really was high on Bieniemy as well, too. I was thinking about this. I'm like, I wonder if he's got some side deal with Andy Reid. Like, hey, listen.
Oh, like the Patriots guy has with, what was
in waiting. He's kind of in waiting. Like, listen, this is your thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But I'm surprised. I wanted to see that. Tony Fontenot looks good. The New Orleans thing does kind of trouble me a little bit, but I only say that because they're arch rivals. But he is a through and through Louisiana guy. The names kind of even a little bit got that kind of thing. I think he went to Tulane. He grew up there. Like he fills a big hole over here. Like we've been pretty decent. I think they're pretty decent talent evaluators here in the draft. So he's a pro. He comes from the pro side. He's never done college scouting. So he's the trade guy. And if you look at that's a good point.
So I mean, he's the like our veteran acquisitions after Alex Mack have been like awful, like just awful on evaluating
Poop.
things.
Poop is my nice way of saying that.
So we're like 1 for the last 10. Like that's a terrible pro trade, like especially at the dollars those guys cost on the cap world. So I think hopefully we're able to retain the guy that was interviewing. That's the college scouting guy here. That hopefully he's able to stay with the Falcons and still run our college scouting because I think that guy does a great job. So hopefully we'll keep that. Plus we'll get some added benefit from the pros with Terry coming on. So that's just my armchair quarterback review of that.
Look at this. Let's land this thing.
Okay.
I don't know if we're not logging this anywhere, but like here's Vivino. Here's
so
what are you drinking? Give me your.
It's DE, like day and space, NEGOCE. So this is I promise it's like a. So there's the Pinot right there.
Is that what you're drinking right here?
Oh, that's the Santa Cruz one. I'm doing the one. So they'll see how it has one from each region.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm
Isn't
looking
that
for.
cool? So you have to.
Cool.
There's no way. So if you like a region.
Is it Willamette? You said.
I'm doing the Willamette value.
Let's see.
Value.
Here we go.
It's the one I did. So there you go. So that's
it's got no rating. The 08 has no ratings yet.
The 18. Yeah. I'm drinking the 18.
Well, what would you give it? What would you give it if you could on our scale?
Oh, I would give it like a 3.75. It's like an everyday drinking wine, like the
3.75.
Nice. I mean, but again, it was I think this one's an $11 bottle. It says 18 on that. I guess that's the resale, but like it's a like $11 bottle that's fully loaded with shipping to the house.
Okay. So. Okay. Fair enough. All right, let's go.
That's my wine pro tip. If you like regions, folks, that's all I got for you.
Okay. We'll go into Untapped here, and I like this. I really do like this. I'm gonna go my last little sip. I'm gonna go a 4. Oh, hold on. Sorry.
It's not like you messed up the whole recording of the episode though. You just messed up the login. That's all right.
It's okay. Cost us a few things. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna go 4.25.
Wow, that's pretty high for you.
Yeah, I've noticed that most of my stuff is
you like IPAs though a lot.
I'm they get a little much sometimes. They get a little much.
So you like the
But I wonder how many beers we've had real quick. Let's see if we can tell how many beers we've consumed.
It says only 76 unique.
Oh yeah, 80 total.
And we must not be logging them all.
Doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem.
We only started logging them recently.
No, this is beer statistics.
No, you have to change the range.
I'm trying to. It won't let me.
Okay.
It's like giraffe for beers, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, thanks for joining, everyone. Maybe next week we'll have it a little bit more exciting. Hopefully this episode actually makes it out and doesn't end up in the digital trash bin where I somehow put the other one. But hit us up. Let us know. Again, always interested in talking about things happening within the accounting firm landscape. That stuff's kind of what we do each day, what we kind of are interested in. So.
And we have some February guests coming up, right?
We do.
They're surprise guests. We're not even going to tease it. Well, this is a tease. We're not going to tell you who it is. It's going to be fun, guys. You have to show up.
But cheers, dude.
Good to see you.
That's a good thing about having wine. You can always reload really easily. So
I did. I'm on class 2. Sorry.
Take care, everyone.